from the opposite coast, Los Angeles, California. She does folk music, folk, singer-songwriter, and she's got a new record out right now called Hustler. I'm joined with Marie Danielle. She's with me right now. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing real good, and I want to thank you for being on the show this evening. Truly appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
I had to do some clear. I had to clarify some things before you was on. Um, you have an album called Hustler,
Yes.
and obviously when people say hustler, they think hip hop artist, but you're not a hip hop artist. You are a folk singer songwriter.
Oh,
So
I see. You thought I was a hip hop artist, did
yeah.
you?
Now I was already familiar with your music. I just had to let everyone else know.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
so
Yeah, it just the song Hustler, which obviously the record's named after. It's kind of like there's definitely that kind of vibe amongst musicians, even that aren't in hip hop. There's still that guy that is a straight up hustler, even when he's a folk singer. So I've run across a few. So yeah.
I have a feeling, you are from Los Angeles, West Coast, West Side, talking Tupac and Snoop Dogg. You may end up having some street cred, pretty much, if you haven't
Well, yeah,
already.
I have actually done some work on some hip hop stuff way back in the day. So, yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
in another life.
That is so intriguing. I really like the sound of that for real. So, and we're definitely gonna get into this record. I did play the title track Hustler, and I really enjoyed the record. Very refreshing,
Oh, thank you so much.
very appealing. I have interviewed like all types of artists, but it's rare that I interview someone of the folk genre. So it's good to play something out of the ordinary when it comes to this particular radio program. Um, so for you, Marie, what made you decide to get into being a singer songwriter?
Well, I've always kind of dabbled with it, but a few years back, I got into an argument with my ex-boyfriend, and it turned ugly and violent, and I came close to dying, and it really made me realize that if you want to do something, you always say you can do it later, or it's maybe that's not for me, but in the end of the day, when you never really know if you could go out tomorrow and get hit by a bus, you got to do what you can while you're here, while you have the time. And I just decided that I didn't even have like an end goal in mind. I just started I just wanted to say I made some music, I played some shows, and then all of a sudden just things snowballed very quickly. And I'm certainly glad decided to do that and do what my heart was calling me to do. Um, and it really was very honestly cathartic because you know, there's clearly there's a lot of sad songs on there, and I worked a lot of what happened out in that record. So yeah, it was like a weird calling all of a sudden in my life after that happened.
So you live in Los Angeles, which is one
Mhm.
of the biggest cities, not just in this country, but all over the whole world. You
Mhm.
might as well call it the entertainment capital of the world. Mostly known for movies, but they do have a share of music taste.
Mhm.
Now, for you, getting a chance to go and perform in the LA crowd, what's the atmosphere like for you when you perform in a city as big as Los Angeles?
It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. Especially in this town, just for the sheer number of people. um, and it's very competitive. And honestly, like what I do is it's kind of a niche thing. It's not easy in this town because it's not necessarily what people are, like in other places in the country where I've played, it's a little bit more open to, like folk, acoustic, like New York, say, and smaller towns maybe, and like definitely over in Europe they are more into it. So it is tough here, but um, my producer Simon Felice, who works really closely with me on this record, always told me that none of that matters. Like if you're playing 5 people, 2 people, it doesn't matter. Like all you have to do is own like everyone in that room. Like make sure that they're not looking at their phone. So like that's what I try to do. Is it doesn't matter. Like I play to small crowds all the time, and luckily they're getting bigger. But just make sure like I play my heart out even if there's no one there. Like I want one fan at a time. As they say. So it is tough, and I'm at a point in my life where city living is kind of, I would like to go be a recluse for a little while and see how that goes. But yeah, it is challenging, but LA is a great place, and, I have, luckily that whole indie, alt country scene is pretty big here, so I have gotten opportunities, but it is a tough town. It's a really tough town. Just there's so many talented people here. The competition is pretty intense.
Best way to describe it, it is a huge pond. Um, and
Yes.
everyone wants to get noticed. Everyone wants to get heard in some capacity. And someone of your artists, people, I don't know, just maybe just may not be. It's acoustic is one thing because I think people love acoustic, but I guess it's the folk thing is like, hmm. So and then you go to other areas and people, embrace it more.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great surprise to me when I went to Europe earlier this year. At the first show, I walked in and the place was, it was a smaller venue, but it was sold out and the place was packed, and it was the biggest crowd I've ever played to, and I kind of was surprised, especially, I'm unknown and not from that neck of the woods, but I was like, wow. In Europe, it's definitely, it's just the scene, like in a big city on a Friday night. Most people, I mean, some people do, but most people don't want to go hear sad acoustic songs. But, that's what I do. I can't help it.
Yeah, you do what takes you far, and you done pretty good for your part. And Miss International, okay, went to
Yeah.
Europe and people loving it. So that's awesome. Not many artists, especially indie and unsigned, don't get that opportunity. And for you to get that opportunity and people loving it, that's definitely a good sign. Uh,
Yeah, it felt pretty good, I'm not going to lie. And so I just keep on and see what's next and just go do whatever's next.
so let's talk about this debut album entitled Hustler, and it's produced by David Barron and I hope I get this person, Simone Felice.
Yes, yes.
So what was it like working on this record, let alone working with Simone and David? What was it like?
Well, it was, for me, honestly, it was huge because, Simon goes by either Simon or Simone, whichever, he says whatever anybody's comfortable with, but I call him Simon. I was such a huge fan of the Felice brothers and of Simon's solo work that, he put a call out and for demos, and I sent my stuff in, never expecting to hear anything. And then a couple of weeks later, I was on the phone with him, and he was, quoting my lyrics to me over the phone, which was so bizarre. And still, like, one of the high points of the whole thing for me was getting to work with him because I was such a fan of his. And then, David was brilliant, and he helped take the record in a direction that I wasn't familiar with his work before, but he took it in a very different direction, I think, than if it had just been me and Simon, and everyone was amazing. And I got lucky enough to have the Felice brothers accompany me with their original lineup with Simon back with them on the drums, which apparently was the first time that they'd done that since he left the band. So it was big for me. And, I just got to make a record that was way better than anything I envisioned when I sort of started on the journey, and also got to cover one of Conor Oberst, who is known best perhaps for Bright Eyes. I covered one of his songs on the record, and he's kind of one of my he's high up there on the songwriting scale for me, so it was just amazing. And I got to work with a lot of people that up until that point were only in my record collection, which is very bizarre and surreal, but really amazing. And I learned so much from Simon and still continue to. We became friends, and he's been so helpful. And it's like songwriting, with performing, with everything. And the record, there's no way that record would be half of what it is without him, for sure.
Congratulations on the record and the good reaction you've been getting to it. Um, Again, the name of the record is called Hustler. Very interesting. Uh, the name of the record in general. What made you decide to name the record Hustler?
Well, the song just kind of that song, I started writing it and then like finished it with Simon. We did some writing on it together, and that was the first time we had like really started working like that. Like I already had some songs that I came to the studio with, but that was the first thing we really worked on together. And when it happened, like I've never really written with anyone else. It's always just been my thing. I have a band I play with sometimes, but as far as writing goes, it's always been me and and a bottle and a room somewhere. But like we wrote that song together, and it was so, again, like it was so amazing to me to be working with him, and it took on such a different direction. And just after that song was in the world, it was clear that it was that was the name of the record. And like even down to like having the idea for the image of the cover, and it just, to me, I don't know, that whole record from start to finish is kind of like a journey. And hustler, like life really is a hustler, kind of swindler, or can be at times. And I don't know, it was no question after that song was in the world, like that's the name of the record. And a lot of people still, like you were saying, like a friend of mine mentioned, like, you don't think that's going to confuse people if you call it hustler? Like, well, just because people have prejudices and think that a thing should be one way, that doesn't mean that a white girl folk singer can't write a song called Hustler. So, and it's still it's hard to pick a favorite. I just had such a good time with every song on that record. That one is definitely one of the highlights. Although Soldier was pretty great too, for me to get to work with the Felice brothers and be in the studio with them. That's burned into the movie reel in my brain for sure.
That is very cool, and I definitely like the songs that you sent me. I did, and I think I've already told you I play Hustler, and I'm gonna play some of the other songs down the road. Um, but it's very refreshing, and Hustler nowadays, it's not the description for it nowadays. It's more about what you do to make a living, what you do
Right.
to be on the grind, being on the grind, whether you're a singer, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, like you're hustling to succeed, and you whatever works for you,
No, and like that was kind of like the in joke in the studio after, like, while we were recording towards the end, after we had Hustler down, like, it's just, it's a struggle for me to, like, I have a lot of musicians, especially these days, to get the money together for a record, to get the material, just to do, because you're doing everything so on your own, and it really is a hustle, and, like, to make all those things happen, especially for me, because it was my first record, I really like it. We would just say, like, oh, I had to sell this and this to pay for studio time, or that to go on tour, and it's like Hustler, because it's just what you have to do, and, like, work another job, do this, do that, like, at whatever you're going to do. At the end of the day, this is what you want to be doing, so you better put your money and your hard work where your mouth is, because nobody's going to just hand it to you, you know? So that's part of the reason, too. Like, it goes beyond just the song, I think.
hmm
And just being able to relate to that character, like in that song, that Hustler, it's like even, like, getting it in a way, like, getting the guy that maybe has dubious morals, but even though he does, it's like you kind of can't help loving him for it, you know?
hmm
So I can relate, that's for sure.
Oh yes, you definitely can relate. I truly believe that for sure. For you, Marie, who do you consider like your influences in music? It could be anyone, indie, it could be mainstream, any artist, any genre. Like who are
Well,
your
that
inspirations?
part of the big reason for me it was such a huge record is because the Felice Brothers are definitely a huge influence, as is Bright Eyes and Conor Oberst. He's, one of my favorite songwriters. And then down to the classics of the folk world, like Joni Mitchell and Townes Van Sant. I just have always liked those true songwriters, the kind of thing that doesn't exist as much today. But right now in my folk world and obsession, I'm absolutely in love with the new Father John Misty record. It's because it's so, I say new. It's not new anymore. But I Love You, Honey Bear is probably one of the best records I've heard in the past, like, 10 years. It's just so, it's the record that I think a lot of people in the folk world would have wanted to make. It's so brilliant and well orchestrated and well conceived and smart and funny and cutting and just such brilliant. The whole bit is brilliant and the songwriting is fantastic. So that's been on repeat for me. Um, but yeah, I definitely have a very specific set of things I listen to, but I just love good songwriting. That anything with good songwriting is what gets me. So I guess that
That's
explains why I gravitate towards folk music. Uh,
one thing about songwriting is definitely a matter of telling a story. It could be something that you relate to. It could be something that someone else can relate to. What do you think is the key to being a good songwriter, such as yourself? So is it like is it something that you do when you're in the studio? You have that quiet time, like you're in the zone. Obviously you collaborate, but what do you think is the key of being a very good songwriter?
well, man, I'll tell you, that's really tough because it can happen in so many different ways. It's part of what's so great about it. it's like this strange like alchemy that doesn't, it can come different ways. And honestly, um, a couple of the songs that turned out and to be just be something completely different than what I intended them to be. Like a couple of the songs on the record started as like a joke in a way, where just like a melody and a lyric came to me as like something funny and then evolved into something else entirely. And I think maybe that's kind of the key, is being open to it. Like, and a lot of people take it so seriously and take themselves so seriously that it kind of, it closes off a lot of windows of opportunity for the song to come in. Because it took me a minute when I was like making a joke with the song at the piano that like, oh, that's actually really good. I didn't even consider it for a minute, like, oh wait, that's different, that's something I'm not used to. And just being, I don't know, open and being, I think one of the things that makes a great song is universality, where it's not like people can find, if they can relate to it themselves and find themselves in their own meaning to a song, that's, that's really, I think, what everyone kind of strives for. And that, if you think about what connects you to your favorite songs, it's always that, it's like being able to relate something that you've actually, that's personal, into someone else's song.
That's some great stuff, and I give you mad credit for you know for expressing yourself in the way that you do, and
Well, thank you.
and I have listened to folk music from time to time, but I don't listen to as much as other genres. But
Hmm.
it's definitely a good genre of music. It's definitely, I like to consider it a stress reliever type of music. Like when you having a rough day and things are going horribly wrong and you feel like you need something to calm you down. Like people will say you listen to soul music, you listen to jazz music. I
Mm.
also say you listen to folk music as well. It's something that calms you down, and just it's just it's so refreshing to me, and I definitely become a fan of folk music, and I guess I'm back to being a bit more dedicated because of you. For when I heard your songs on your website, you know, I truly enjoy the tunes, to tell you the truth.
Well, thank you.
And so for people that wants to buy the Hustler record, and for those who wants to learn more of your music and everything, why don't you go ahead and promote your social media link where people can go to, and also where can people go to buy the record? Why don't you go ahead and promote your links?
Well, you can find out the whole story from the record and everything else I'm doing on MarieDanielleMusic.com. And you can buy the record there and see tour dates and all of that and get to all my social media from there. But I'm also on iTunes and Spotify and all the usual places that you find artists, and it's under Marie Danielle and Hustler. And yeah, but the website's the best place to go for the general skinny, and it's MarieDanielleMusic.com.
Again, the name of the record is called Hustler. Make sure y'all go buy that CD. Go show your support. She definitely put a lot of hard work into making this happen. And she's independent. She's basically doing this with her own money. Um, so just do a brother a favor and go support this lady, especially if you're in Los Angeles. Now I get it, Hollywood, sports, I get it. There's a lot to do out there. All I'm saying is support your local music, support your local artists, support people like Marie Danielle. this lady has so much to give, and she can give it to you musically. So just go support this lady and go buy the record Hustler. And I want to thank you, Marie, for being on the show this evening, and continued success. And Kentucky, that's where I live. We got country music, we got folk music. I think a state like that will definitely will embrace you. Um, so I don't know if I gotta
Well,
go.
I'm about to actually move myself back east and leave LA. So I'm gonna stop a lot of places along the way. So I'm gonna hopefully later this year or early next year be hitting the road and touring all over the country, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, keep an eye out, and who knows, maybe I'll make it there.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Thank you for your time. You have a great night and have a great weekend.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
That was Marie Danielle.